Yes, please. Andrei Kolesnikov, Kommersant. Before your trip to Dushanbe, one of the deputy foreign ministers of Russia said that the potential that was gained during the Anchorage meeting has been spent by now. Do you agree with that assessment? And another piece of news that is coming in is that Donald Trump did not receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Do you think he ought to have received it? Do you think he had the right to that prize? Well, as to your first question, what do you want to hear from me? Well, what I would like to hear is that the potential is not spent. Well, you see, we did not reveal what exactly was discussed during the Anchorage meeting. We said that there is a general understanding from the United States and an understanding on the Russian side about where we can move and what can be done to resolve this conflict through peaceful means. And those are not simple issues. So we agreed with Donald that I will go back to Moscow and think about this issue and consult with my allies, and he said the same. This is a complicated set of questions that require a thorough review. But we're still grounded in that discussion that took place in Anchorage. We don't change anything here, and we still believe there is a work to be done on all of the sides, but we're still within the framework of the agreements reached in Alaska. And as to Trump and the Nobel Prize, it's not up to me to decide who should win the prize. And I don't think anyone present here will object, or anyone from your audience will object, when I say that there have been cases when the Nobel Prize Committee gave the Peace Prize to people who did nothing for peace. And in my opinion, those decisions damaged the prize's authority. So they gave the Peace Prize to people who did not do anything. You should only give the prize on the basis of actual merit. Otherwise, the significance of the prize is eroded, and that's what was happening. But ultimately, it's not up to me to judge. And I don't know whether the current US president is worthy of the prize, but he really is doing a lot to resolve the complicated issues of today that have persisted for years and for decades, the difficult crises that exist. And it is the case with the crisis in Ukraine. He's genuinely striving to find a resolution. Some things have been done, some things haven't, and maybe we will be able to achieve more based on the Anchorage talks. But he's certainly working on those issues, working on ways to achieve peace and resolve the difficult international situations that exist today. And the situation in the Middle East is one striking example. If the current initiative is brought to its completion, if everything that Donald was striving to do will be made real, it will be a truly historic achievement. And you may have noted that I talked with the Prime Minister of Iraq, who is now presiding at the League of Arab States, yesterday, and we agreed to move the meeting between Russia and the Arab League. And I did that because I don't want to interfere in the current process that I hope has now gained traction, a process that has been made possible with a very important role played by Donald Trump, and that is certainly an achievement. But once again, it's not for me to decide whether the prize should be given to him and whether it is the kind of achievement that should be rewarded with this particular prize. Yes, please. Russia Today. You said that you will continue working with Arab colleagues on Gaza. Which format would that be? And is Russia going to take part in the various working groups on monitoring, on humanitarian issues, on everything that has to do with the regulation and recognition of the Palestinian state? We have a very high level of trust with our Arab friends and with Palestine. And when I spoke at the Valdai Club meeting, I said that we support President Trump's initiatives in this regard. But one of the key issues here, one of the truly key issues is the creation of a Palestinian state. And it's certainly a forward-looking issue. I am not familiar with all the details of the current proposals, but I know that they speak of transferring power to the Palestinian administration, to the Palestinian Authority, the creation of a local militia to ensure security, and the level of trust that exists between Russia and our Arab friends, and our Palestinian friends first of all, is a means, I believe, that our participation could be meaningful. And if our friends believe that it is so, then we will be happy to take part. We have been involved for decades, and I think Russia has things to say and things to propose to help resolve those issues that will inevitably arise as the agreements are implemented. Russia Channel. Well, first of all, happy birthday, happy belated, and we have never seen how you spend your birthday, but this time we saw how you were with the military officers at a burial site of the Russian Tsars. Why there and why with those people? Well, the fate of the Russian people is now being decided right at the battlefield, and our military is at the forefront of this fight. They're literally fighting for our fate, and as you may have seen, I was with the commanders of those who, the commanders of all the forces that are currently engaged along the line of contact. I invited them to the Peter and Paul Cathedral, to the sanctuary that is the burial site of the Russian Tsars, including Peter the Great, and we laid a wreath on his burial site, first of all, because he laid the foundation of the Russian state as it exists today. However it was called, the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, but the very basic tenets of the state were set forth by Peter the Great. And the soldiers and officers are essentially now guarding the state that was established by Peter the Great. Russia became bigger and smaller under Catherine II. There were the greatest territorial expansions, and she's buried right next to Peter the Great. So it was a recognition of the people who made the most fundamental contribution to the development of our statehood. And of course I had a briefing with the military officers. They told me about the situation in their areas of responsibility, and then we continued our consultations in an informal setting. Well, a birthday usually requires presents. Did they give you any presents? Well, yes, there were some military figurines and some books. But I would say that two of the gifts were of special significance. One of the commanders gave me two icons that had been carried by our soldiers, icons that had saved their lives. Those are icons with dents from bullets, and they sent those icons to me as a gift. And I want to use this opportunity to convey my most sincere words of gratitude to those soldiers, and I wish that God keeps them safe as He has until now. Yes, please.
Zvezda TV channel in Kiev, Zelensky threatening to hit Russia strike Russia with tomahawks, maybe even the Kremlin. And they say that it's a kind of a blackmail. Yes, so it's not just a blackmail, it's trying to intimidate everyone with these words. But the Americans are saying that the supply of tomahawks will depend on the position of Russia in negotiations, and if they are not happy with our position, then they will supply them with tomahawks. Do we have a response to it? Our response is strengthening the air defense system of the Russian Federation. Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to ask you a question. You have already proposed to extend the START treaty that is going to expire very soon in February 2026, and judging from the first reaction that we heard from Washington, President Trump seems to have a positive attitude. So maybe you received some signals that Washington is ready to be involved in some consultations, and are 4 months enough to hold such negotiations, and will it take a new summit between you and your American counterpart? Well, we maintain contacts between the Foreign Ministry and Department of State. Will these 4 months be enough to make a decision on extending the treaty? I think 4 months are enough if there is goodwill to extend the treaty. But if Americans deem it unnecessary, it's not a critical thing for us, because in this regard we just continue to work according to plan. I have already said that, and it's not a secret for anyone. The novelty, the state-of-the-art nature of our deterrence means is better than any other state might boast, and we keep on developing this. As I said it before, we continue this work, and I believe that in the nearest future we will have a chance to announce a new weapon. We spoke about it before, but now the tests are ongoing, which are successful. As for the intercontinental component, in the air, on the sea, on the ground, everything is at a very high level, and we maintain it at this level. But we are open for negotiations. If it's acceptable and useful for the American, it's good. If not, that's fine too, which will be a pity, because there will be no deterrence tools in the field of the strategic offensive weapons. Is this it? Okay. One more question. Anna Sidich, Interfax Agency. A follow-up question about the Nobel Prize. Zelensky said that he would support Trump's application if Trump supplies tomahawks. So How do you assess this kind of approach? Well, I think the opinion of the current head of the Kiev regime was not something that the Nobel Committee was interested in when they were making a decision, but making this connection between the Nobel Peace Prize and weapon supplies, it's ridiculous. And it just demonstrates the level of the current Kiev regime overall. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, well, fine. What else? West FM, Radio Mayak, the Valdai Discussion Club, you said that one of the countries is preparing for the nuclear tests. Is this country the US? And you said that Russia would follow the suit and will also have nuclear tests. Won't it bring us back to the previous century when the world put a ban on nuclear tests, and could it provoke a new nuclear arms race? Well, to be fair, the race is still ongoing. Will it bring us back to some previous times? Well, I did not say that the United States were preparing for the tests. I said some countries were preparing, and specialists, they understand everything perfectly, because everyone is eager to test the efficiency of the fuel that for years were in the missiles. So you can emulate this on computers, and some specialists think that that's enough, but other specialists believe that some actual tests need to be carried out. And some countries, they float these ideas. From what we know, they even prepare for this. And that's why I said that if they have the tests, we will do the same. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? From the point of view of ensuring security, it is a good thing. From the point of view of overall picture, bigger picture, related to the deterrence, with actions aimed at, well, if not at reduction, but at least at deterring the arms race. And maybe bad, but in this context, so the START treaty must be extended, so it's something to think about. Thank you. Goodbye.